Thanks so much for tuning into the NBA here on 2K Sports. The young NBA season still rich with optimism. It's going to be Brandon Knight and the Detroit Pistons up against the Phoenix Suns. I'll be back at halftime.
Welcome, everyone. This is what you've been waiting for. The NBA on 2K Sports. This is Kevin Harlan, joined by Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Burke. Here are your starting lineups, brought to you by State Farm. And, guys, what do you think we'll be seeing from Marcin Gortat in this one?
Well, the thing that I like about Gortat is how deceptive he is in the ways that he scores. I mean, he can score in transition. He can catch in the paint with either hand and finish. He can knock down a jump shot. And he doesn't look like a star, but he's developing into one.
Yeah, you know what, Steve? He really is. He might not be the biggest guy, but Gortat thrives on contact. He can pack a punch, too. I've watched him many times. Just leaning into you and bumping into you and working your way down the floor. He can definitely wear a player down with all of them. Last outing for Phoenix, they won that game against the Golden State Warriors. And they barely squeaked by with that one, edging out by just 1 point.
Well, I'll bet they feel it never should have even gotten as far as overtime. But they kept their cool once it did get there. And they finished it off nicely.
Yeah, they got a second life when it got to OT. And they took that chance and ran with it.
Knight kicks to Prince. Back to Knight. Monroe sets a screen for Knight. Prince over Beasley. Prince misses.
You know, Marcin Gortat has emerged into one of the best centers in the league. Back when he was in Orlando, he was in a backup role behind Dwight Howard. But now that he's in Phoenix, he's getting starters minutes. He's made the most of them. Very, very productive player.
Well, Clark, speaking of Gortat, he led the Suns last season in scoring. When you look at him as a scorer, what's his strength?
Well, he can do a lot of stuff, Kevin. He's got good hands. He finishes around the goal with both hands. He can pick and roll, pick and pop. Nice mid-range touch. I like what he brings. When you're that big and have the skills he has, you can put up some good numbers, and he did.
Now, here is Knight. Kicks it to Maxiel. Back to Knight. Clock at 4. Shoots from the high post. Jump shot is good. First quarter, just over a minute played.
Well, the Pistons have an interesting group of players, young guys who, you know, the question mark with them is, can they fit together? They've got a nice center in Greg Monroe. They got Knight from Kentucky. He's a little bit of a tweener. They also have Rodney Stuckey in the backcourt, who's a tweener. So will the pieces fit? I think that's the big question. Really good offensive execution. Nice pick, just couldn't get the shot to go.
Boy, you love to see that as a basketball purist. Guy setting a good screen and then getting the shot opportunity. I'll tell you what, he can be an offensive force when he's on top of his game, guys, and he usually is on top of his game.
Well, for Detroit, it seemed that they just had been collecting talent and worrying about having it work together later. Not a knock on them, Clark, just doing what rebuilding teams, I guess, just need to do.
Yeah, Kevin, but eventually you have to identify roles and then plug players into specific roles in order for it to work. You can't just get talent and have the same uniform and feel like you're going to automatically be a team.
3 out of 4 from the floor, so a good start for this club.
Passes to Monroe. Back to Knight. The Pistons working the ball around now. Here's Stuckey. Foul call that time on the way up. That'll give him 2 chances at the free throw line here. This is his first trip to the line tonight.
Guys, I thought he got into a groove last year at the charity stripe, and I thought he maintained it deep into the season as well.
Well, I'm never sure what position Stuckey plays. He's not really a point. He's not really a 2. I think what he is, more than anything, is a scorer. He's got a strong body. He's got a nice touch on the ball, good handle, and he can hit that in-between shot. That's what makes him so tough to stop.
Because Stuckey has that size of a two-guard, often he can go right into whoever's guarding him and still get the shot to fall because of his size and strength. At worst, he'll make it to the line, and that's where he can put up points in a hurry.
3-on-3. Let's go to Doris Burke, who spoke with head coach Alvin Gentry.
Yes, Kevin, and he said their preparation for this game was all about defense. Going up against one of the premier offensive teams in the NBA, he said, listen, it's a challenge that we need to embrace. Nobody can do it by themselves. It's got to be a collective effort. Guys, we'll see if they can put the brakes on this high-scoring team. It's never easy.
Okay, Doris, appreciate the report and coach's plan here tonight. A good one, guys.
In theory, yes. I mean, they're up against a team that can put up points in a hurry, so defense has to be a priority. We'll see if they can execute that game plan.
Well, you said it, Steve. I mean, this is an opponent that will test your resolve. You got to stay the course, and you can't vacillate much. You're going to have to absorb some body blows if you want to come out on top.
And the Suns with a completely new group on the floor. And a different look here for the Pistons. Drummond's checked in for Monroe. Jerebko comes in for Jason Maxey. Corey Maggette, he's checked in for Tayshaun Prince. And it's Bynum in for Brandon Knight.
Well, Rodney Stuckey is a guy who's steadily improved since entering the league. And last year, the Pistons reward him with a pretty big contract. A guy who can play either guard spot. But I think he's best suited as a scorer.
There was no question about it. He was going to finish that one off.
Bynum dishes to Stuckey. Stuckey gets a screen from Drummond. Back to Bynum. And good coming on the assist by Rodney Stuckey. Bynum's got his second bucket of the night. And when you talk about Stuckey, he's butted heads with some of the coaches they've had in Detroit. But you know what, Clark, last season he seemed more comfortable.
You know what? He credited talking to a therapist with helping him out. And more, Kevin, we're seeing guys understand the benefit of having a mental expert that can talk about behavior and how that enhances performance, being more and more part of NBA teams and pro athletes. The mental has oftentimes been neglected in terms of how important it is to performance. I'm glad to hear him make that admission and share that with folks.
Out of bounds, Detroit takes possession. So it's both teams making substitutions here. 15 seconds left in the first quarter of the game. Dishes it to Monroe. And that one's good. 6 seconds left to play in the first quarter. Down low. Here's Morris. Down goes the slam.
Too little, too late from the deep. Give him credit for trying anyway.
Great job he did getting through him and up to the rim.
Yeah, now that was aggressive, and that's exactly what I like to see.
A good close contest so far as we finish the first quarter. The Pistons on top.
Coming up next Thursday, Kevin Durant and the Oklahoma City Thunder take on Derrick Rose and the Chicago Bulls. Be there.
And the second quarter getting underway. No team gaining an edge so far. And what stands out to you from the Pistons so far in this one?
Pretty good start defensively. This club forced some mistakes and took advantage, and that's how they've built this lead.
And they've built the lead because not only have they forced turnovers, but they've taken care of the ball themselves. So that's a winning combination.
Channing Frye out there with Johnson. Then it's Brown. Then there's Telfair. And it's O'Neal in at the 5, roaming the paint. So that's the lineup on the floor for the Suns. It's hauled in by Brown.
And it is very dangerous to leave him open like that. Lucky break for the defense that he missed it. Well, it's been an interesting transition for the Suns. You know, several years ago they were one of the elite teams in the league. Now they're more in the middle of the pack. So this is not the same team that the Suns once were, but they're still very competitive on a nightly basis.
Knight with it. Picked up by Brown. Drummond. Yes, and Knight with the assist that time. Drummond's got the opening field goal of the second quarter for the Pistons. Brown against Knight. Brown the pass to Johnson. Over Maggette. And the shot is good from Johnson. Yeah, Steve, the Suns still a good team at home, but not quite the force they once were when they would just go out and run teams right out of the building, Fred.
Yeah, I remember those days. You don't ever want to scoff at 19-14 at home, but the Suns know they'll need to be much better than that in Phoenix if they want to get back to the playoffs.
Let's check out what Doris Burke has for us.
The Phoenix Suns training staff and doctors are renowned league-wide. Back in 2000, they developed their unorthodox methodology for injury prevention and rehab. They evaluate players' flexibility in 8 different areas 4 times a week, do manual muscle testing for strength, assess movement, and even take measurements of players' legs, ankles, and hips. This allows them to determine which muscles are tight or weak, which joints are out of whack, and they look for and find any dysfunction. It's this understanding and application of what's called kinesiology that's enabled them to have such remarkable results. Kevin?
They do amazing work, Doris. Thank you. And stolen by Knight. He kicks it to Prince. Nice ball movement by Detroit. And the shot is good from Stuckey.
Good work turning that into an easy 2-point. He can attack the rim as well as anybody.
And Gortat with the stuff.
Pretty significant laps there on the defensive end, guys.
Yeah, those are the ones you just can't allow that.
No, if you're giving up dunks and layups defensively, you're in huge trouble.
Prince outside. Back to Knight. 6 to shoot. Into Maxiel. And stolen by Scola. He feeds it to Dragic. It's tipped. And stolen by Knight. Here's the break. And Maxiel kicks to Stuckey. And so he earns a trip to the line. Officials saw the contact and he'll shoot 2.
You know, it's a little strange to not have the Suns in the playoffs for a consecutive year last year. They came close, but ended up finishing 3 games back of the 8th playoff spot.
Markieff Morris is checked in for Phoenix. Marshall comes in for Michael Beasley. Detroit also making some changes. Charlie Villanueva's checked in for Maxiel. Austin Day comes in for Greg Monroe. And it's Bynum in for Brandon Knight. 1:36 left to play here in the second quarter. Back to what you said about the Suns, this franchise has had such an easy time making the playoffs for the past couple decades that even 2 years with no playoffs seems like a drought for them. Steve, you know that firsthand. You were the general manager there at one time.
Yeah, it's been such a successful franchise over the last 40-plus years, Kevin, that it surprises you when they're not in the postseason. But look, this is how the NBA works. It goes in cycles, and right now they're in a little bit of a down spell.
Well, they keep going right back to the paint, and who can blame them? I mean, they're getting it done in there.
Yeah, 3 of their last 5 buckets, guys, have come from inside the lane area, so I'd expect them to continue to go inside right at the defense.
Shot by Villanueva, no good. The Suns trailing. First chance of the season for them to go up against this Pistons team.
Well, they like this matchup. They won both games against this club a year ago, so they feel confident going into tonight.
And here is Bynum. Maggette right side. Over Telfair. Again, Maggette missing.
Right now, he's in a bit of a funk. I look for them to look at other options on offense.
When you're at or Clark near the bottom of your respective conferences, you still have to look for the positive things to stay focused on.
Without question, Kevin, you have to hang your hat on positive stuff. And an interconference sweep isn't a bad place to start in that regard, Kevin. Take a look at those games, figure out what went right, and try to build on that.
Here's what Phoenix has got going on right now. Fry comes in for Jermaine O'Neal, and it's Dragic in for Sebastian Telfair. Morris dishes to Johnson. Dragic kicks to Brown. The dish to Fry. Clock at 6. Knocks down the 3-ball. Fry's got himself going there. His first points of the game on the deep ball. Now Knight. He's got 6. Brown jams it in.
Well, this fella can rise up there with the best of them.
Just a crazy finish, guys.
He's one of the few players with the athleticism to pull that off.
The Sprite replay really gave you a good look at the action. And here is Knight. Here's Villanueva. Yes, and Knight with the assist that time. Knight's got 3 assists in the game. And here's Fry for 3. He just barely beat the buzzer.
Unflappable. Wasn't rattled at all. I mean, he's the kind of guy you want taking those shots.
Yep, I agree with that. Pressure mounting, the crowd counting it down, and bang, he drains it.
And that does it for the first half of play. Suns lead by 7. And we'll be back right after halftime for the start of the third quarter. We'll see you in a bit.
And now, brought to you by Sprint.
Hello and welcome. We've got a great one underway at U.S. Airways Center. For the Phoenix Suns, they have the lead against Detroit. Starting off on the right foot this young season, they're definitely playing well. Shannon Brown playing well in the first half. They've also seen the numbers from Marcin Gortat in this one. And a resilient Pistons team is staying in it. They've been getting roundly outplayed up to this point, and they'll need a bounce-back effort to make up for it in the second half. Corey Maggette with a rough first half. Dreadful from the field. He hasn't connected on any of his shots. And now we'll look at games that won't be tipping off until... And now let's give you a chance to make your pick for today. And that does it for us here in the studio. Thanks so much for joining me. And now, back out to Kevin and the gang.
All right, the second half beginning in just a moment. Nice game. Great performance by Shannon Brown.
Yeah, give him credit. He's been very selective with his shots, and it's paying off for him and his team.
You know, he's taking exactly what the defense has given him, and he's not forced anything. That's exactly how you should play the game, in my opinion.
On the floor for Detroit, Maxwell and Monroe at the 4 and 5. Knight and Stuckey are manning the backcourt. And it's Prince in at the 3, the small forward.
You know, sometimes guys with new ownership, drastic changes are made. But the Pistons pretty much held firm last year, although they did add Lawrence Frank as their head coach, who did a nice job. But I think Detroit is really looking to keep this core group of young players together and see if they can develop.
Knight passes to Maxwell. And Strong with the one-handed jam.
That's a forceful finish there. The tomahawk one-hand bang.
It just shows you the strength he has.
Yeah, we're not talking about soft defense either. I mean, they were right there on it.
Back to Detroit always seems to be their MO throughout the various sports. Get a solid core and grow out from there.
Yeah, it's called organic growth. You know, the Pistons really... haven't made a big splash in free agency, at least in the NBA. The Pistons have always gathered their talent through the draft, and that's worked for them.
And let's catch up with our sideline reporter, Doris Burke. Doris, over to you.
Well, the Pistons have really made character a big priority in their drafting the last few years, and you see the effect with last year's rookie Brandon Knight. His teammate Rodney Stuckey said, he's a great kid. He comes in with an attitude to learn and get better. He's positive, and there's nothing really negative about him. Having that kind of energy around you really helps you and picks you up. And Stuckey planned to work with him in the summer and becoming a great tandem in the backcourt. He said, we're going to have a lot of years together. We're only going to get better with each other. Kevin, should be interesting to watch.
It would be nice to see them turn it around. Thank you, Doris.
And if they can really develop into a top-notch tandem, that can only help the Pistons get back to their former glorious ways.
That drops.
Now, you talk about Pistons head coach Lawrence Frank. He has a reputation for hard work, very meticulous. A guy who had a big pedigree in his basketball career to lean on, so he really made his way with hard work and determination.
And we're just about 2 minutes into the second half now. Here's Stuckey. Prince kicks to Monroe. Shot is off. Suns leading by 3. To the paint. Now the pass to Gortat. Some nice ball movement here by the Suns. Rebound by the Pistons. And Lawrence Frank, as you mentioned, Steve, not a guy who played the game at a high level. Do you think that's a disadvantage for him?
Well, it just depends. I mean, if you can prove to your players that you're worthy of being their coach, then they don't care if you played or not. And I think that's the case with Lawrence Frank. I mean, the players see how hard he works. They see his passion for the game. They see how smart he is. So there may be a week or two early on where they're kind of sizing him up. But in the end, once they figure out what he's all about, I think there's no problem.
Here's Beasley. Knocks down the jumper off the quick drop step. Beasley's got his second basket of the night. A minute 50 left in the third. Now, here is Knight. He's guarded by Dragic. Here's Monroe. Yes, and Knight with the assist that time. Knight's got assist number 7 for him tonight.
Well, what makes Greg Monroe good is the fact that he's a very well-rounded offensive player. Coming out of Georgetown, where he ran that Princeton offense, he understands passing angles. He's become a very efficient scorer and passer for the Pistons. They run a lot of offense through him.
Dragic gets the bucket. Guys, we're not through 3 quarters of play, but 6 lead changes already in this one.
Yeah, it's been a really good game for sure. I mean, it looks like it's going to stay tight throughout.
Yeah, very competitive action. I agree with you, Clark. I mean, this one could come down to the last few minutes the way it looks.
Prince outside. They get a hand on it. Puts the lead pass in front of them. Here's Maxiel. No good. Excellent D there for Scola. And, speaking of Greg Monroe, he's really expanded his repertoire offensively. His rookie season, no plays called for him. It was mostly offensive rebounding and cuts off the ball.
Well, that's one way to get points, but he's become more efficient posting up right now. And also, he's facing up to knock down that mid-range jumper a little more consistently. So the versatility he showed in college starting to be on display in the NBA, too.
Shot clock at 6. Prince dishes tonight. And the whistle blows, and it's going to be an over-the-back call here.
Well, I love the fact that he's fighting hard on the boards, but, you got to be smart, too. Over the back, that's an easy call there.
Well, that's simply the result of poor position under the glass. But at least you can't fault him for being passive. He was trying to be aggressive there.
Dragic gets the bucket. Now Stuckey. He dishes it to Villanueva. And just miss after miss right now. And offensively, a great show for the fans through the first 3 quarters. It's been a fun game to watch. The Suns ahead, up 6. And we're coming right back. Be sure to stay with us.
The NBA season gains momentum.
Double your money and make it stack.
Suns leading by 6. Filling out the wings are Brown and Dudley. Gortat is out there with Beasley. And it's Dragic in at the 1 spot. That's who's out there for Phoenix. Here's Prince. Feeds it to Stuckey. And he lays it straight in. Stuckey's got the first field goal of the 4th quarter here for the Pistons. Dudley the pass to Gortat. And here's what the Detroit Pistons schedule looks like. Moving on from this game, they're scheduled to take on the Lakers at the Staples Center. And their road trip is only getting started as that's the 2nd of 6 for them. Pistons trailed by 4. And there's the feed to Monroe. And the officials call goaltending, so they'll award the basket.
Great touch inside and wonderful body control as well for a big man. For such a young guy, Monroe has showed a ton of promise as an inside scorer.
And you know what I love about him, Steve, is he scores the ball without having a lot of plays called for. And when you're able to pick up garbage buckets in the flow of the game, that's a huge plus for him and his team.
Tries again, and that one is good by Beasley.
That mid-range jumper, just another one of his weapons.
Now, here is Knight. He's guarded by Dragic. Maggette outside. Kicks to Maxiel. Tries to save it. And it's out of bounds to the Pistons as Detroit retains possession.
6 seconds.
Here's what Phoenix has lined up on their schedule. When this game is done, they'll be off to Orlando and they'll take on the Magic. That's game 1 of a 3-game road trip. Five to shoot. Here's Stuckey. No good. And Phoenix will come the other way. When this game is done, they'll be off to Orlando and they'll take on the Magic. That one will start off a 3-game road trip for the team.
They may have to start looking for some other options because he's really struggling out there.
Now, here is Knight. Maggette outside. Maxiel with a screen on Beasley. Maggette kicks to Maxiel. Off loose off the pick and hammers it home.
Boy, taking it hard to the rack for the big throwdown.
And give an unofficial assist, Clark, to his teammate for setting the screen that freed him up.
Yeah, good call, Kevin. That was really the key to the play.
All right, let's go over to the sideline with Doris Burke.
Thanks, Kevin. Alvin Gentry had some words for his team over that last break. He said, nobody but us believed we'd be in this position, and here we are. I'm proud of you guys tonight. Now go finish this thing off.
And stolen by Maxiel. They need to get going. That's going to be over and back. Not watching for the line that time.
You cannot afford to make mistakes like that here in a tight game.
Here's Dudley. The quick pivot move got him the angle. And the Suns lead by 4.
Points in the paint have been the main course, or main entree, if you will. They just keep pounding it inside.
Well, they're seeing no resistance defensively in the paint area, so the defense has got to be tougher.
Time called here. The Pistons decide to talk it over. Tough loss coming against the Rockets in the last game they played.
Yeah, it seemed to me their three-point shooting was their own worst enemy in that game, Clark. I mean, even their wide-open looks weren't falling.
Yeah, and I'm sure when they think back on that game, Steve, their main regret is going to be that they didn't get away from the three-point shot early on. They kept going to it.
Maggette outside. Shoots over Dudley. Sinks the 15-footer.
He exposed a flaw in the defense. No way they're supposed to be giving him that shot.
Beasley dishes to Scola. Dudley against Maggette. And Dragic gets it to go on the assist by Dudley. Dragic has got 12 points here in the second half.
Again, they attack the hoop from the lane, and it's been really good to them.
Yeah, they're getting whatever they want down there. That's 4 of their last 5 buckets coming in the paint area.
Maggette. It's hauled in by Brown.
Really good work defensively. This coach has to be happy with his team.
Yeah, forcing that miss right there, great effort.
Scola passes to Brown. Shoots the 3. Can't get it to go. Pistons trailed by 5. Stuckey with it. Picked up by Brown. Stuckey can't get it to go.
That's terrific defense right there to prevent from converting in close.
Scola kicks to Dragic. The kick out to Brown. Out of bounds. Suns ball as Phoenix keeps possession. And the Suns making a change here. Gortat's checked in. Greg Monroe. He's checked in for the Pistons. And that one is good by Beasley. Now a timeout called by Detroit. They're down by 7. 1:14 left in the fourth. 1:14 left here in the fourth quarter. Pass to Monroe. Gortat's there. Fader on the way. Monroe's shot is good. Monroe's got 4 this quarter.
They continue to barrel their way inside, and when's the defense going to adjust?
Well, I'm asking the same question myself, partner. I mean, that's 8 points out of their last 10 coming inside.
Here's Dragic. He's guarded by Knight. 5 on the clock. Gortat dishes to Dragic. Over Knight. Passes it to Dudley. And an intentional foul right there.
That's his second personal foul.
There's 39 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Here's Dragic. He's guarded by Knight. Dishes it to Beasley. Over Maxiel. And it's Beasley. That time in the assist by Dudley.
And they add to this lead, trying to close this game out.
I think it would take a lot of luck and maybe then some. I mean, might be time to pack this thing in.
Here is Knight. He passes to Monroe. Straight up. Rebounded by Luis Scola. The Suns have gone 5 of 10, 50% from the field. Gortat, the pass to Dragic. So the Suns win it. They pulled off this win, Clark, with respectable performances on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, I think it was just really a nice overall effort, Kevin.
And that about wraps it up for Clark Kellogg, Steve Kerr, and Doris Burke. This is Kevin Harlan thanking you for watching the NBA, presented by 2K Sports. And now, Jordan presents our player of the game, Goran Dragic.